Hi. I just woke up from a melatonin-induced nap, and now I'm trying to rev myself alive with coffee. Café du Monde. And it may or may not work. This is the energy we're today. Oh, look at my mug. It's the mug I got for winning dinner theater. It's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home skillet biscuit? And happy Saturday. If you don't know what Saturday is when I do a little something on my channel called Bad Movies and a Beat. The series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. But before we get started, a quick announcement for those of you that are interested in this year's Wish Trend x Kennie collaboration sets. For those of you that don't know or are newer to the channel, every year or sometimes twice a year, I do a collaboration with my favorite skincare curator and distributor, which is Wish Trend. They've made some of, hands down, my staple products. I'm always trying new stuff behind the scenes, but I always end up going back to them because they're the staples. They are the bee's knees. And it's always something that people are always asking for because you get these amazing products that a lot of people already like already, but on a big discount. We usually do 2 sets, and we've decided to do one of the original sets, which has vitamin E, vitamin C, the original toner, all the best-selling stuff. And then there's also a new set that I like to call the Perfect set. You get it because it got pears in it. This set consists of 2 cleansers, the Pear Soothing Toner Pads, Pear Serum, both of which are from the brand I'm From, and I really love I'm From. They make my favorite honey mask as well, and the ginseng mask, and the rice mask. Good shit. Can I curse? This ain't an ad. Say whatever I want, sweetie. Just buy it if you want to. As well as the Probiome Balance Cream. If you're wondering, I'm going to be using the pear set in this video, but if you would like to check that out, both sets are at a really big discount, especially for those of you that already use Wish Trend. It's a great opportunity to get everything. I believe the original set is 47% off, and the new pear set is 45% off. This is not a sponsored video, but I do make commission on sales, so if you would like to support the channel in that way and get some new skincare on a big discount, I'd really appreciate it, and so would Wish Trend. So there you go, that's my little spiel. Again, I will be using the pear set today. So last week we looked at He's All That, and I nearly forgot that we looked at He's All That. And I think it's only appropriate because, again, that movie was so deeply forgettable. Oh my God, mediocrity at its finest. So if you would like to check that out, feel free to check it out up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movie and a Beat playlist. So this week, you know I couldn't stay away too long. It's been over a month. There is this wonderfully horrible place on the internet called Passionflix. I have now done several videos on movies that I've seen on this streaming site because they're just so bad and I can't get enough of them. They are so engrossing. I can spend just like seemingly an endless amount of time just sloshing, wading through the waters of bullshit that is on Passionflix. And though true, I do continue to give them free promo, I may never stop because why would I? For those of you that don't know what Passionflix is, it is this wonderfully horrid place on the internet. It's a streaming site that creates nothing but low budget film adaptations of crappy romance novels, and they somehow make them worse than you thought possible. Think Hallmark. Think Lifetime, but with the freedom and flexibility of an R rating. And I love it. It's so bad. And I've had quite a few of you guys say that you're either tempted to or have already subscribed to Passionflix because of me. To some degree, I don't know if I'm ashamed of that. Am I proud of that? I don't know. This week, we are returning to the last film that I had watched before, because there's a trilogy of this film, and that is Gabriel's Inferno, and today we're watching Gabriel's Inferno Part 2. Now, if you haven't seen that video, this is a sequel, you should probably watch it first. The story revolves around Julia and Gabriel. Julia is a master's student studying Italian literature, specifically Dante-focused Italian literature, and Gabriel is her master's professor in Italian literature. The whole movie is about them, quote, falling in love. And what we find out through the course of that movie is that they actually have a past of their own in which they had already fallen in love and he just completely forgot who she was, even though she reappeared before him as his student. And basically, something about watching that movie brought me to my knees. I was about to lose my mind the entire viewing experience, partially because it was just incredibly boring, just mind-numbingly boring. He, quote unquote, fell in love with her and has no idea who she is when she reappears a few years later. There was also some stuff of possible pedophilia, which I will get to and address in this video, apparently, because we got some clarification on that. I will say comparatively, this movie is nowhere near as boring, like uneventful, as the first film is. There is a lot more going on. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's better. It is quite the train wreck. Like, you can't look away from it. And because of that, it has this weird humorous quality. This movie is very funny, but not in like a ha-ha. It's more like if somebody cracks a joke at a funeral, like you laugh, but you feel bad about it. That's how I felt about this entire movie. It makes you laugh in nervous discomfort and irony of the situation. Everything about this film just feels like an interrogation, like the movie itself is gonna walk into your house and be like, do you find me sexy now? Prior to watching the first movie, I was under the impression that this is going to be a trilogy, and after watching 3 movies, I'd be done. If only death were so swift. Apparently, each movie so far, the first 3 movies, I almost put up 2 fingers, the first 3 movies are all but 3 parts of one book. And God forbid they take the same format. We could have anywhere up to 12 movies. But before I overwhelm myself, let's just take this one movie at a time. This is Gabriel's Inferno, Part 2. So this movie takes place right after the end of the first movie. They start off the film with the exact same animation of Lacrimosa. Like, they didn't even change the paintings. The only thing they do is just put bitches part 2. So in fairness, Passionflix isn't big on editing anyway, so it shouldn't surprise me. Julia has ended her little, I don't even know if I want to call it a relationship, but her situation with Gabriel. Again, her professor. They ended their relationship for a whole host of reasons. Watch the first video, I don't have time. And Gabriel's like, I want you back. I need you back. Baby, please, baby, please. Calling her, he's leaving messages, he's leaving flowers at her door. Again, baby, please take me back, baby, please. Julia's certainly in the like rage phase of the breakup, end of situationship. She decides to take a few days off of class to avoid Gabriel. Meanwhile, Gabriel is just kind of bitching that she won't talk to him. She ends up sending Gabriel a professional email that says basically, stop harassing me, stop texting me, stop calling me. I will basically complain to the complaint office or whoever you tell when your teacher is a predator. I don't know. I mean, if you recall from the last video, I thought this was a bad idea in general. He gives me predator vibes for a lot of reasons. From the jump, nothing has been particularly sexy about this dynamic, as much as this movie seems to want me to believe that there is. But basically, fed up with all his BS, she's like, I need a new advisor, leave me alone. I'm even willing to give back my scholarship. I just don't want to talk to you ever again. And I get it, I ain't giving back the scholarship, but you know, all the other stuff, I definitely get it. She does ultimately return to class, checks her mailbox to find her own bra shoved in an envelope. If you recall, in the first movie, she had left her bra accidentally at his house. It wasn't because they had sex or anything. She's a virgin, because of course she is in any romance. Every single romance has to have a virgin female protagonist. Another thing we need to have is, of course, a poorly laid out love triangle. This consists of Paul, who is great. I love Paul. Paul was great in the first movie. He's still great in this one. Not a great actor or anything, but you know, like as a character, he's like nice, he's patient, he's kind. He does like her and he's made that clear, but he's also said basically that he values her friendship and he'll stick around. Pick him, he's so much better. Anyway, he took a trip to Princeton, brought her back a gift, and she ends up hugging him. Gabriel sees. And this only compiles upon his already foul mood that he's had since she's been ignoring him. This foul mood and animosity between the two of them bubbles over into the actual classroom, and it's some of the most uncomfortable. Because I just sat there thinking the whole time, ooh, if this was me in this classroom, I would put my pencil down, honey. I have nothing to write about. I have nothing to look at. I have nothing to pay attention to. Let the games begin. Because they go into the classroom, and from the beginning, Gabriel's like, in like this weird power play, he's like, see me after class, where have you been? And she's like, oh, I have plans with Paul. I'll let you know when I'm free. And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And then he starts the lecture about none other than Dante and Beatrice. And I guess they just don't learn about nothing else in this in this class. He basically concludes that the reason why the relationship would have never worked was simply because Beatrice, Julia, was at fault. She didn't look for him. She didn't care about him. She just acted like she did. She just left him. She was a frigid bitch, and that's why their relationship didn't work out.
Where was Beatrice? Dante waited years for her. She knew where he lived. She knew his family. If she cared about him, why did she make no attempt to contact him?
Julian response basically says Dante, Gabriel, was a grown-ass man, and she was not, which answered a question that I had from the first movie. If you recall, I was saying, like, was she of age? And he was, like, making out with her in a field and flowers and shit. Like, was she of age? And she knew that they couldn't be together.
Dante met her when she was under 18. It wasn't possible for them to be together unless he's a pedophile. Are you telling us that Dante is a pedophile, Professor?
Well, it kind of just alluded to her possibly being barely legal during their first moments of, quote, falling in love. And it was just very, very, very creepy, but there was no solid evidence. You know what I mean? So for me, we could honestly just end the movie here, because I don't want to hear anything from the pedophile about how he wasn't a pedophile when he was doing pedophile. But they keep going. I was like, okay, so how are you going to defend yourself? What are you going to say? He basically says, no. I just had a lot of affection.
He had true affection for her. If she had ever had the courage to ask him, he would have told her that.
So yeah, you were like, what? And then they somehow just skirt from this conversation and get on to how if he loved her so much in the time they were away, he wouldn't have had sex with so many other women, especially the woman that called her a slut and a whore in the last movie because she was over his house at night. Baby, let's keep our eye on the ball. Keep our eyes on the prize. You have a perfectly good man who's not a pedophile sitting right next to you, who values you as a person, as a friend, and we accept the love we think we deserve, and it's just so true every day, and it hurts so much. Now, after this incredibly subtle and not at all personal argument in front of all these other students, Gabriel says to come to his office, because of course this movie is just basically a slow burn porno, at which he yells at her, reprimanding her for bringing up Paulina, who is the woman that cussed her out over the phone.
You wanted me to behave like every other abusive asshole that has knocked you around. Well, I'm not an abusive asshole.
I mean, this is up for debate.
You seem to be the only person capable of pushing all my buttons, and I do mean all of them.
Nigga, you are always mad. What are you talking about? But this argument is just the precursor to, honestly, the most uncomfortable and breathy, like it just looked like a stank, makeup and make out scene I've seen in a while. It was impressively bad, and it's long. I will say this movie has some of the longest, most uncomfortable makeout scenes, because it's like, again, this was the problem I had with the first movie. They do all this stuff that I'm supposed to ignore, should be deeply troubling, and then just cover it up with a really, really long makeout scene. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm tired. I'm so exhausted. It's just incredibly melodramatic and overdone. And I guess, again, we're just going to ignore the gnawing question of his pedophilia. But okay, cool. Romance.
I love the way you say my name, Beatrice.
I'm not Beatrice.
This is so musty. Oh my God. He make a musty ass dinner and give her some musty ass flowers, in which there is a musty ass card that tells her that if there's anything you want to know about how I feel about you, just ask Beatrice, because that's the nickname. Again, if you haven't seen the first video, this is all very confusing.
We'll save the rest for mimosas tomorrow.
Breakfast. Very sure of yourself, Casanova?
Your virtue is safe with me.
This nigga talk like a supervillain. Rest, little one, for your virtue is safe with me indeed.
I won't let you me.
Oh my God.
One doesn't an angel.
So Dracula over here is like, I just really want to get to know you, like who you actually are. I've been obsessed with you, so they say, for the last 6 years, and I would really like to know who you really are. And then when she's rightfully apprehensive, as anyone else would be, he basically says, don't try my patience.
Is it too hard to believe that I want to take my time?
Yes.
Your prejudice is warranted to some degree, but don't deliberately try my patience.
I really want to spend this time and get to know you. Not too much time. I got shit to do, but nah, eat some cake and forget about how abusive this interaction is. This movie has a very interesting quality in that it's supposed to be a romance, but it actually comes off more like a horror, and because of that, it feels like a comedy. It is the most peculiar thing. But Nosferatu over here is like, I want you in my bed tonight. Not sexually. Kendall, edit in the clip of Wendell.
I hit that sexually.
But he's like, you can sleep in my bed and I'll sleep out on the couch because I'm not a rapist, and I feel like I really need to prove that to you. Outside of just not being a rapist, I guess. But she's, you know, drawn to him, moth to a flame, so she goes to sleep next to him regardless. While going to his bedroom, she told him that she noticed he had taken down some of his photos that he kept in the room before. He used to collect like tasteful nudes in his house, and he took them down. He was, quote, ashamed of them if he were to have an angel in his bed. Puritans are some of the creepiest motherfuckers I've ever seen. It's like, what is he talking? That's a grown-ass woman. We talked a bit about in the first movie how he has a tendency to refer to her in this very infantilized way, and I just find it very, very, very creepy. And now that we've confirmed he is indeed a pedophile, this only proves my point more. In the middle of the night, she has a nightmare about a man named Simon, and we find out later that that's apparently her ex, whom she has a lot of trauma surrounding around. We don't really know what that trauma is. She wakes up the next morning, sees him in the kitchen, and he's receiving her lovingly. And she basically says that I have no idea if when I see you, you will verbally abuse me or be very sweet, which, romance. They both finally discuss what had happened that day in the orchard 6 years ago when he made out with a minor. Basically, she had always thought that after she had awakened on the blanket in the orchard, he was gone and that he had just left her there. And so she went back to the house never to see him again. His side of the story, which again, romance, was that he indeed did not leave her there, that he actually went to go piss next to a tree and to pick some apples. And when he got back, she was gone. I swear to God, if he dropped the apples, if he dramatically drops the apples, I'm gonna, oh my God. I hate it here. And now, the thing that really drove me to watching this movie more than anything else was the answer to this question. Why didn't he remember her? The big secret reason about why he didn't remember her from the first movie was because he was drunk and strung out on cocaine. So he thought that he had imagined her, that she was a dream. My God, what a contemporary romantic masterpiece. They go back and forth. She insists that she's not interested in dating an addict, and he says he's been clean for years. He only drinks on occasion. She basically says that she's so gung-ho about this because she has a lot of trauma associated with her mom, who was also an alcoholic, and she doesn't want to revisit that trauma. He yet again gets her to forget the very real reasons that this is just so... Should I list it? He's a pedophile. He's her professor. He forgot about her because he was strung out on cocaine, abused his family member, and sent them to the hospital. He's verbally abusive to her. Shall I go on? Like, is there more romance? Okay, this is just musty. It's the mustiest story. But to silence all of those very meaningful protests, he just kisses her on the neck and says sweet things to her. That in and of itself ends the protests. But she exerts a little bit of power by saying that she will consider dating him. And in the meantime, while she thinks it over, he is not allowed to see anybody else. Without hesitation, he agrees. And she's like, what about that Paulina chick? He says that she does not matter. And then asks who made her so insecure. Was it perhaps the Simon guy that she had a nightmare about the night before? But she refuses to go into the conversation of Simon. Gabriel goes to one of his colleagues to get advice, I suppose, on his budding relationship with Julia, basically seeing whether or not he can get fired. And yes, he can get fired. Which I gotta say, this colleague is the only guy who is a decent actor in any movie I've ever seen from Passionflix, so congrats. God among men. Fraternizing with a student will definitely get you fired. If they find out it's OV, it's over, and apparently he's just like, well, I can't read, so. And so they decide to commence like this. He is her professor, and then at night they sleep in the same bed, no sex, and that just works fine, because I guess he gives her papers to his TA or something. Thanksgiving comes around, and basically both of them decide to fly back to the hometown. She talks about why she doesn't like Thanksgiving because it reminds her of her alcoholic mother, who is also incredibly abusive. They talk about other serious topics such as religion and how he feels as though he's lost his soul long ago because he, quote, committed a sin unto death. Apparently the pedophilia isn't the last straw, it's other things. But she reminds him of his humanity and that His mistakes don't fully define him as a human being, and they don't take away his chance at redemption. Is this a Twilight fanfic? Is this another Twilight fanfic? I swear to God. Oh my God, it's inescapable. At this point, Twilight is its own contemporary bacon number for romance. You take any step in any direction in contemporary romance and it will always lead back to Twilight. I hate it here. She tells him that she's still friends with Paul and she's gonna continue to be friends with Paul even though he has some weird jealous alpha pissing contest against him for some reason. He's like, he wants you, and she's like, I have no friends. Please don't let your jealousy ruin the one chance at a friendship for me. And with said friend, she goes to Gabriel's guest lecture at some other college or some event or whatever, it doesn't matter. But basically at said event, we meet, I don't know who this is. This is a professor that they refer to as Professor Payne because apparently she's really into S&M. And for some reason, everybody knows that. They just all know. So I guess they just blended the fan fiction. It's also 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight. Okay, cool. They hidden all the keynotes. But Gabriel gives his lecture, and afterwards there is a dinner that he had actually texted Julia not to come to, but she didn't get the text because her phone was off, so she ended up at the dinner anyway. At the dinner, Paul tells Julia about their secret love affair that they've had over the years and that she got him into S&M. Again, I don't know why he knows all this tea, but this is the type of nosy nigga I love. I love an oversharer. I mean, I'ma listen, but I will wonder, why do you know this? The female professor is like fondling him under the table, of which he does not seem receptive to. So sexual assault. Julia, overcome and disgusted, decides to excuse herself and go to the bathroom, at which Professor S&M goes to intimidate her.
Did you like watching what I was doing to Emerson under the table? You'd make a very pretty pet.
Does no one care to keep their jobs? What is the disciplinary structure? It must not be great. Maybe that's why they're getting away with it, because everybody's just being gross and sexual assaulty to everybody. Also, can we please stop with the lesbian predator trope? It's very tiresome.
I'm a human being, not a animal.
Human beings are animals, my dear. We have the same need for food, drink, and sex.
I bet her breath smell like boiled eggs. After escaping the bathroom, Julia sees Gabriel, and he's like, basically, this is why I didn't want you to come to this dinner, because this is what I wanted. Wow. This is why I didn't want you to come to this, because I wanted you to avoid her. She's goading me, and I can't react, is his response to the fondling. Nobody wants to keep their job. Also sexual assault. Like, every single person in this movie is terrible. Wow, maybe that is how, indeed, this is related to Twilight. Also, I would like to say, everyone I've ever met from the kink community have been lovely. Except the guy that offered me BDSM on the street of... I never told that story, did I? It's a long story. Don't feel like doing it. It's not that long. I just don't feel like telling the story. Anyway, most of the people I've met from the kink community have been great. From what I've noticed, that a lot of people that I've seen in the kink community tend to be better at the concept of consent. But the way they talk about her being into S&M is really, really weird and funny to me, because they make it sound like she harvests organs for a living. Like, that's the reason why she's terrifying, and not because she seems to be like aggressively sexually assaulting people at any given opportunity. But she takes this S&M thing very seriously. She's like, I can't be with someone who hits, and I can't bear the thought of someone hitting you.
I don't understand why anyone would not choose kindness. Life is painful enough.
Girl, if you don't suck a dick and shut up. These people seem to think that BDSM is like a precursor to mass murderer or something. Like, Gabriel invites her to a gallery. The bouncer takes her coat, and he fine as oh my God. They make out in the gallery for an incredibly long amount of time. I've edited out a lot of making out. There's just a lot for no reason. It's just so much filler. They come back to his apartment, and while he's like in the bathroom or something, or in some other room, she gets a call, and it's from none other than dun dun dun, her ex-boyfriend Simon, with whom she has a dark past. This movie is irrevocable trash, and I will be watching the third one. I've gone this far down the hole, I want to know where it goes, even though I know it's nothing but a landfill. That is all for today, folks. If you liked today's video, feel free to like today's video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. And if you want to check out my collaboration with Witch Trend, that will be linked down below. And I will see you guys next time.